the American Constitutional Republic, affairs of state in Oklahoma, the beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people like you. This is 3D Politics. Featuring creator of Sooner Politics and expert on Oklahoma state government, David Vann. Also joining us every week, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com, political leader, educational speaker, David Oldham. And of course, me, your director and host of 3D Politics, Tommy McKay. Comedian, political humorist, and father of 5, former mayoral candidate. Here we go. We got an exciting show tonight. Cannot believe everybody we've got on the show tonight. It's all about the state GOP chair. There's a vote April 10th coming up this Saturday. The internal GOP, state GOP chair is up for election tonight. We have Jenni White, Christine Leeviraphan, and John Bennett, all three lined up. The invitation was sent also to Charles Ortega, but we could not find him in time for the show this evening. So I want to tell you who we've got on first tonight. Up first, Jenni White. She's got a master's in biology. She's worked in advertising, epidemiology. She's a teacher. She is a co-founder of Reclaiming Oklahoma Parent Empowerment. 12 years grassroots organizing. She is married, a homeschooler, and currently serving as mayor of Luther, Oklahoma. Let's bring in our first guest, Jenni White. Here she goes. Beam her in. Oh, there she is. She made it. Poof, there she is. All the tech. Right. We love to work it in. There she is. How was that for an intro, Jenni? We work in. Oh, you couldn't hear it.
That was awesome.
Could you hear anything out there?
No, I could not.
Like I said, Purgatory wasn't so bad, like I said. No. All right, so here we go. I gave you, I basically touched base on your bio, the Oklahoma Parent Empowerment, Mayor of Luther, etc. Basically, the bio. And so I want to explore. We'll press you with a couple of questions, the 3D scrutiny, I call it. But basically, what's your motivations for running, your main policy directions, and solutions.
Okay. Honestly, I'm running because, I've spent a lot of years doing grassroots organizing, and it's been kind of inside and outside the party. But one of the things that kind of has frustrated me over the years is that there were times when I felt kind of left out of the party. And it was really interesting because after the 6th, January 6th, and we went to Washington, D.C., everything was so upside down. I mean, I couldn't think straight. I mean, all I did was sit over my phone and read news. I mean, it was bizarre. And I think I just kind of, it was the weirdest time I think I've ever had. And I've had a lot of weird times in 58 years, but that was weird. And then kind of what ended up happening was I sort of started getting my feet back under me. And then I got back I thought, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to get back into the party and we'll just see how it goes. So I went to my precinct meeting and went to my county meeting. But the coolest thing that happened was that my friend Rhonda, who I've been friends with for a long time, got the state GOP chair. And then I had another friend that I've worked with in Oklahoma County a long time, Galen Stupich, and she got vice chair. And all I could think about was, for once in my life, maybe I wouldn't be on the outside. And so I just thought, if there was ever a time to do it, it felt like now was going to be the time to do it. And it wasn't just a foregone. I mean, I didn't just suddenly think of it out of the blue. I mean, I didn't just come in out of the blue. I mean, I really sat down with the rules And people have laughed at this before, but I'm a researcher. I mean, that's kind of what I do. So I sat down with the rules and I wanted to see what the GOP chair did. And I wanted to see if I was actually qualified for the job. So I went through and I looked through and to see what the rules actually said about the job. And I thought, I can do this. I mean, this is what I've been kind of training to do for the past 12 years. And so I thought, that I want to do this. I feel like now is the time. I feel like it's super important. We don't have any time to mess around. I mean, we are so close to being, you always wonder if we're going to be Venezuela. I mean, at the rate we're going, seriously, look at the gas prices now and you think, are we just this side of Venezuela now? I mean, we have to do something now.
Jenni, let me jump in real fast. Sure. As an expert jeweler, I can tell that you have a beautiful piece of jewelry hanging around your neck, but it's also bouncing off of your microphone.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
You'll want to
I'm so
adjust,
sorry.
Clutch the pearls or do something that.
How about if I do that?
That'll help. One way or the other. It's ruining your speech, because we're wanting to hear what you're saying is chingly, chingly. Okay, so I hear you. So you're running. So tell us, when it comes to your policy directions, you. In fact, I think I asked somebody the same question last week. What is the job of the state GOP chair? What do you think that job is?
Well, it's got three parts, and without going into being super geeky about it, basically it's to support national, statewide elections, but also at the precinct level, and then also national elections. And, my big thing for years has been grassroots. I mean, that's what I've done for 12 whole years. And I think that people don't understand how the party works. They don't understand that the boots on the ground, the people in the precincts are the ones that make everything happen. They're the ones that can get people elected. They're the ones that can find people for elected official spots. That's what they do. And I just think that my particular policy and what I really am excited about doing is recharging the grassroots by training them, educating them. And when I say educating them, I don't mean, some people don't even know how. Yeah, some people don't even know how a bill is passed, and I'm not making fun of anybody. I didn't.
No, this is something. You're among friends here. This is something that I went off like a pop bottle rocket the other day with Oldham, talking about how you become a state elector, and I was like, I should have learned that in 6th grade. I don't know why I don't know this stuff. How come? This is like just a month ago. I just learning the civic understanding of how to do it. So I understand what you mean. The electorate has to be informed. One of the things I like about this season of election right now is so many candidates. It's like, this isn't, in my opinion, I'm not looking for lockstep agreement on everything. I like the ideas coming in from a number of different places. So tell me about I know there's a bit of contention or whatever about the idea of voting with the Republican brand or voting your conscience. I know that David Oldham had to deal with this as an elector. And I don't want to, revisit the entire argument, but how do you feel about that concept of voting the brand or voting the conscience?
Oh, so we're talking about electors now, like in a national election.
Well, I'm saying at the higher level, is this the kind of thing? I just know that that's been one of the things that's been chided about in the social media sphere. This idea.
Well, now we've talked about there has been some contention about the platform, and I don't know I don't know if I misspoke. Honestly, when I talk on Zoom, I either feel like I'm Max Headroom or I'm in front of a firing squad. I would rather be in front of a firing squad because at least I know what's coming. So I don't know if I just spoke or something at the chairman's thing. I don't know, because
it can happen. I
can't figure it out, because people have been asking me, so you say that we shouldn't follow the platform. I'm like, well, where did that come from? And
I never heard that. I never heard that. What I heard was it had to do something about, and it may have been specifically about electors being held to the Republican brand as opposed to voting their conscience. So having to do with electors, it reminded me of the David Oldham issue when he was an elector.
We didn't even go over that.
So it doesn't matter. It was a question. What about either of the Davids? What have you got for our guests here? Question.
Go ahead, Oldham.
Well, hi, Jenny. I think where
Hey.
Tom's driving at is oftentimes we hear, the whole, true conservative or true Republican versus Rhino, and I think it leads to the question: what do you see as the chairman's job, especially in primaries? What is your position on, is it to endorse particular candidates, or is it something else? What's your idea on that?
Well, that's a really excellent question, but I said this at the forum, and I believe this. I do not believe the chairman's job is to endorse in a primary. And here's the reason why. To me, that's like we Republicans say that we don't like top-down leadership. I mean, we like kind of bottom-up leadership. Well, if that's the case, and we're all individuals, then why would I come out and say, well, I feel like you need to vote for so-and-so? Well, to me, that kind of begs the question of how do other people then have their personal opinion, and how can the people's voices be heard if the chairman is saying, well, I think we ought to do this thing? I think that silences a lot of people that I don't think is an appropriate thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't follow the platform. We absolutely should, but I don't see that the chairman's job is to take away the voice of the people in the precincts and at the county level by saying, I think you need to vote for so-and-so, especially in a primary.
Van, what do you got?
Yeah, Jenny, good to see you again. We spoke briefly at OKPAC a couple weeks ago. I think it was right after you had announced. Any regrets that you weren't able to go to more state or county conventions around the state?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, certainly I wish that had been the case. And I love traveling. I mean, that's what I did when I was doing Common Core. I think I ended up visiting something like at least 45 counties, if not 40, maybe out of the 77. I mean, I was all over the state. I enjoyed doing that.
6 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's absolutely. I feel badly that I haven't been able to attend, for sure.
Tom, if I could, Jenny, one of the things I just found out recently, 2 years ago, most of us in the Republican Party were unaware you have been the mayor of the city of Luther. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I think it was a controversy that came up when some veterans with PTSD were wanting to be able to get medicine at a dispensary, and I think you took a pretty hard stand there. How did that turn out with zoning out dispensaries?
Well, actually, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a hard stand at all, because I think what had happened was, I think you kind of, there was a little jumping of the gun there, and we hadn't even had a chance to hear that issue in the at the town board before there was even, comment about it. So we have always done, followed the OMMA regulations in town.
Okay.
And have been able to, we do have one dispensary that's actually located on 66, but no, there was no controversy about that at all.
So were able to get it locally. Those
Absolutely.
Good.
Excellent. You guys are listening to Jenni White running for state GOP chair. The election's coming up here April 10th. You're with us once again on every Monday night on Facebook Live, 3D Politics with David Van, David Oldham, and the Verbal Viking, Tommy McKay here. Hey, since we're moving into the marijuana discussion, or at least we talked about
Didn't know
it.
we were, but okay.
Oh yeah, I think we were all rolling one. What do you know? I'm working on an episode with someone in the industry about the seed to sale legislation. I'm really actually haven't brushed up on it. Don't know enough about it, but here comes seed to sale, and so I'm going to want to know, where the GOP stands on that kind of thing. It's all about tracking the seed. It's like cradle to grave. They're gonna track the seed where it came from all the way to the end user. But of course, that information won't be allowed to be visited by your employer, even though they'll have it. So anyway, you don't have an opinion on that. What about 17th Amendment? What
How
about
about
the
say again?
17th Amendment? You familiar with that one?
No, sorry, I haven't memorized them all the way down
See,
to
all
I
right. So
know.
this is the one thing, and then
That's
we'll
why I
give
have
you
a pocket
we're
constitution.
going to give you a chance.
There you
We
go.
do have our purposes here at 3D Politics, and the repeal of the 17th Amendment is one place that both of these contrarians have agreed with me on. The 17th Amendment essentially allows for the senators to be elected by popular vote
Thank you.
instead
Okay,
of
yes.
being held
Yes.
accountable to the state legislatures.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
literally there's no reason to have a senator unless it's going to be me if the only reason they're being elected is popularity, because I'd love to just be elected to not be held accountable to the feds or the state, just run a popularity contest. So you can agree with us on the repeal of the 17th Amendment?
Well, I definitely think we have to go back to having the states actually decide on who the senators are, and not popular vote.
Does that pass muster with you, Oldham?
Well, yeah.
Okay. I just needed the stamp.
Right, Dave.
That's what I needed, was a stamp of constitutional approval.
Well, I gotta say, yeah, I'm kind of rusty on the numbering too. But I happen to know that one, but I was going to be more disgusted with Oldham that he went to Washington on January 6th with you and hadn't had that talk yet.
Oh, no, we've had it off and on. I don't know why I can't. You would think that the 17th would be stuck right here, but I don't.
They're going to bring
Maybe the hard drive is just full. Who knows?
It could be a trick question. That's why you always kind of withhold just to
Which one? Hold on.
Well, these guys like to bring people on and test them on the numbers.
Sure. That's right. What date was it?
Well, getting back to a party thing, if I could, Jenny, what are the things that stand out to you as things where you think the party is ripe for maybe some reform, maybe in structure or process? Any ideas?
Actually, yes, I actually do. I think the party is built appropriate. I think we just don't follow the way it's built and the way that it works. So I think once we would go back to actually following the actual plan, it's going to work 100% better. But I think the problem that we've had, and this isn't just, and I'm not faulting David McLean, this is just kind of a general problem that we've had. We don't communicate. It seems like we don't communicate at the state, at the county level, down to precincts up to county. We don't communicate from the state to the I talk to people in counties and they have no idea. They've never heard from anybody at the state. They don't know what other counties are doing. And I just think that's so wrong, because if you can get everybody together on one, it's like we're siloed, county, 77 little silos of counties. And that's not helpful, because if we could all get on the same page, think of what we could do in a statewide election, not only a statewide election, but a national election, if we were all on the same page. But we don't communicate, and we don't work the party structure the way it's supposed to work. And then we wonder why it doesn't work. And you're like, well,
sure.
The Republicans just simply don't know how to throw a rave. We just keep getting our butts kicked by the Democrats. They know how to put on a party. The Republicans.
So far, we've done marijuana and raves.
Trying to help us out here.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, they're like, well, when you're having a drug party, everybody knows and shows up on time, so the Republicans need to learn how to throw a political rave where we're all having a great constitutional time, but we know how to show up. I've worked with the Republicans, and I worked with them for several times in a row. And I kept saying, you got to pick a stage, pick an area for a stage, make an area for a stage. You know what? The Republicans don't know the word stage. So finally I said, pick an area where nobody gets to walk. God, they have no idea how to throw a party. Okay. Literally. All right. So what else for Jenni White? We do have fun too. There's a hell of a lot more fun than the other.
I'd rather have fun.
That's what we're doing. So it's a rave. It's a political rave. So, all right, Oldham, what do you got? You're awfully quiet there.
So we've had talks, and it's near and dear to me. But we've had talks of the whole communication thing, and that the Oklahoma state GOP office would have a media center and this and that and the other thing. What are you thinking about doing for communications? I mean, are you going to start? I mean, is there going to be something different than has been done, or just emails, or what's the thought process that you're?
Well, honestly, I think we need to do everything. I think we haven't been engaging on social media hardly at all. And I think one of the places that we're going to pull young people in for sure is social media. I mean, why are we not running some kind of ads for events or even for precinct meetings on Snapchat? I mean, my kids use Snapchat all the time, and they're conservative kids. I mean, why are we not using appropriate platforms?
Isn't social media, I'm sorry to interrupt, but social media, isn't it an echoplex? I mean, isn't it just you just live in an echo chamber? I mean, you're not really, who was ever convinced by social media?
Well, no, I'm talking about ads. I mean, and I mean, you can get some good ads and ad space that's relatively inexpensive on social media, and it's an easy platform to use to spread information. So I think that's one thing. And David, I like that concept of kind of a media center, but I think one of the things, because I kind of look at Texas and Colonel, help me. I don't know why it's. Thank you, Alan West. I don't know where that went. I got Colonel and then it stopped. But I look at Texas and I look at Colonel Alan West, and he puts out a weekly kind of a state of the GOP, and he sends it out. Bingo. I mean, he sends out, constant communications. He's talking about the Republican Party in and engaging people on not just on social media, but he is there as well. And I think that's kind of a big thing. I think if we don't start engaging people on the Republican Party issues and what it actually means to be a Republican. I mean, even if you just do a compare and contrast, well, this is what the Democrats did this week, we do blah, whatever that is. I just don't think we're out there enough to make a dent. I don't. I firmly believe I've got years and years of communication as a writer on national publications, and then being interviewed nationally and locally over many years, and I don't have a problem doing that. And I just feel like connecting with the public, engaging with the public is the best way to go.
I'll vouch for that, Tom. She was one of the first bloggers when we started the Center Politics platform.
So we've got just about 7 minutes to go, and one of the things I want to touch on, actually, I wish I could have brought my source fast enough. Well, first of all, let's just touch mask mandate. I mean, we have to go into detail. You like masks? You hate masks? What do you want?
Well, as the mayor in Luther, now I'm part of a five-member board, and none of us ever wanted to shut down restaurants or make anybody wear a mask. I mean, we all believe in individual liberty here, and you are an adult and you can take care of yourself. And if you're an adult, you can take care of your children. There's no reason for me to step in. There's no reason for any of us to step in. You do your deal. If you'd like, information, I'm happy to provide information, and I can tell you where to go, but
I feel like I'm in trouble. Yeah. No, I don't need information. My God, if I need information, I'm in trouble.
No,
I know where the party is.
To provide information to people, that's what I mean. I mean, if the people wanted information, I was happy to provide it, but not tell them what to do.
Right, I love that. So basically, no on mask mandates. Okay,
No.
You want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Okay, now this is a trick question. I'm just warning you right up front. Are schools underfunded?
No.
Thank you.
That's not a trick question, actually.
I
That's a pretty easy question to ask. No, schools are not underfunded.
So, I mean, why is it Deborah Gist can't keep the lights on and the doors open then? I mean, why?
Well, maybe we need to have a forensic audit of Tulsa Public Schools and Oklahoma Public Schools.
I heard
and
those
then we would
magic
find
words.
out forensic audit. Everybody wants to say audit. Well, do you know the difference between a regular audit and a forensic audit? We need a forensic audit, because I don't know how in the world you can have that much money and it suddenly just evaporates and, but I need more. I mean, and the COVID money, don't even get me started. My eyeballs will start rolling back in my head.
Yeah, that difference is like the difference between Fox 23 and Dateline. where they go through the DNA. Yeah, $2.5 billion every 360 some odd days, and you can't keep the lights on. And when you do, you need more money for books when we're all going online because you let the kids rip the books to shreds in the first place. All right, well, that was an easy one.
That was easy. That's
So
right there.
so we covered kind of your motivations for running. And three, we covered your policy directions, I think. Did we kind of?
I mean, my policy directions are just to, really work the system the way it is.
Kind of
and
get
really
back
get the,
to.
yes.
Okay.
Well, let me throw in with this thought process. Okay, we've watched. You just had the discussion about the school funding, and we watched the teachers go on strike a few years ago and get big raises. And our state chairman at the time said, "Oh, we need to give them raises," and so forth. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, it was Pam Pollard. Yes, she did.
The question is, what would a Jenni White administration, what would your answer be in a situation like that? And it doesn't matter what the situation, make it up, but take that situation. How would you have handled, say, Pam's dilemma when that came up? How would you have handled that?
Honestly, I think there's a really great way to handle it. And I hope that that's how we did it with rope. And that is, I wrote a lot of blogs and they educated people. And
Yes,
I think when people have education and they actually see the instead of just coming out and saying, well, you're a bunch of idiots, that's bad. I don't think that's helpful. Talking down to people or, being ugly, it's not helpful. I mean, it really is true that you win more people, more flies with honey than vinegar. But what you really do, you make a stance by making your case in education. Okay, well, let's talk about this. What are the facts? This is the fact number one. This is the fact number two. This is the fact number three. Make your own conclusions, but these are the facts. And I do think that really, and here's another reason why I think that approach is really good. I have heard from people when I've spoken before, because I have a program that I do right now on the Patriot, being a patriot. And they say, because I say, stand up for yourself. Don't let the bullies back you down. You tell them what's going on. Well, but I don't know how to articulate my case. I don't know how to explain this to people. And the best thing you can do is give them education, because as soon as they're educated, they can learn how to fight for themselves, but they can't fight if they don't know what they're fighting for. So education, I think, is always the best way to go.
Yeah, I come from a family of educators, and there's a big difference between being able to understand a concept and being able to explain it.
Exactly.
And so a lot of people get the concepts, but then they struggle. They say, well, I don't know how to say it.
Right.
I don't know what to say. Jenni White, I really appreciate you being here this evening. Your energy is wonderful. Tell us where to find you, how to get more information about you, etc.
Well, I'd rather not put my phone number out.
No, we need to know the last 4 digits of your social and where your rave is. We know you're having a rave. We know there's a stage. No, but I mean, you're running for you're campaigning.
I know. I sent out an email today, and the email even does have my phone number on it, because I've had calls today. So.
I wouldn't put out my phone number unless it was
I did.
But tell them, I mean, you got to have a web page. You guys are sticking around for coming up hopefully soon. Yes, she just entered the waiting room. Christine Leeviraphan is coming up, and John Bennett after that. But right now we're thanking Jenni White for being here. Jenni, tell us where to find out how what you're going to say at the GOP when you run. Facebook.
Facebook. You can find me, Jenni White, on Facebook.
Jenni, very good. Okay, we're going to try it. Jenni White, I appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
guys
here
for
very
having
much.
me.
We're going to try to beam you out. You ready, David?
Okay.
Here he goes.
Go ahead.
Here she goes. Thanks for being here. Jenni White, thank you.
Thank you.
There she goes. Wow, that was fantastic, guys. You guys that was fantastic. I can't believe how much fun that was. We're going to stop shortly right now for station identification and reset the show. And coming up next is as I said before, Christine Leeviraphan. But first, here we go. Take yourselves out, guys.
All right.
The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of state in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people like you. This is 3D Politics. Featuring creator of Sooner Politics, David Van. Also, founder and scholar at Constitutional Grounds, David Oldham. And of course, me, your verbalviking.com comedian and political humorist, Tommy McKay, right here once again every week on 3D Politics Live. Oh, I appreciate you two cohorts being here with me. We've got Christine Leeviraphan. Boy, Leeviraphan. I just love the name. I'm telling you. Leeviraphan. That is a great name. She is a precinct chair, a previous precinct chair, Rogers County chair, District Rules Committee, State Rules Committee, at-large alternate delegate for the National Convention GOP 2020. Please welcome to the show, and we'll bring her in and beam her in. Here she comes, Christine Leeviraphan.
There she is.
There she is. Fantastic. See how we beamed you on? Like this is amazing. It's magical. There it is. So I don't know if you heard, but I set you up. Precinct chair, Roger County chair, District Rules Committee, State Rules Committee, and at-large alternate delegate for the National Convention 2020, Christine Leeviraphan. We appreciate you being on the show tonight. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Boom. Well, we appreciate you being here. We just got through talking to Jenni White. We're going to ask you basically the same questions, your motivation for running, your policy directions and solutions. We're all about solutions.
Okay.
So go for it.
Go for what my platform is.
Well, kind of tell me, what is your motivation for running? Why are we running, and why did you decide, and how did you decide this time I'm running? I have my story. I figured you had yours.
Well, for me, it's pretty personal. Just as a precinct chair of Rogers County, through everything that's happened over the last few years, just serving on a county level, I just recognize that little bit by little bit that our state's voice is being taken away, that our constitutional amendments are not being clarified and educated. And so just as serving as a county chair and knowing the sign of the times, knowing that this is a 2-year gubernatorial race for our governor and the boots on the ground, I want to do the work, serving as a small business owner and serving in areas of the past with school systems. I just feel like, this is a time for a rebuild and a reboot. And that's just encouraging for me as far as, just the direction at the precinct level and the county level to support the
So
state.
you have some experience in working with it, and you can see kind of the areas that are needed. And so you're stepping up. This is one of the things I've been loving, the fact that the electorate is becoming, I think we're seeing more people run for these obscure positions because the electorate is being more informed.
Right.
I think that's a good thing. So, as far as, what policy directions, our viewers really want to hear less platitudes and more, specific. What are your policy directions? I mean, what do you want to do?
As far as policy, our number one is our vote and our voice. And we have that coming across right now. We should be calling our senators and getting that taken care of. I mean, there's a vote going on right now on that floor. And if we lose our vote, we're in big trouble. But, we also have our 2A rights, and we know the blessings that we're here and that we're standing for here in Oklahoma. But, abortion, I've said it over and over. I'm for the abolishment of it. I'm tired of the gray matter and the pro-life. I feel like we have been exposed to pro-life. If you do this, then we'll allow you to have an abortion. And where we stand on a Republican platform is we're against abortion, but we've given, opportunities and options. If you do this, then you can have one. And a lot of people don't understand that. So it's really, truly educating our platform and coming forth and being truthful. And that starts at the precinct level to see where the need is in the neighborhoods and bringing it to the county.
Okay.
Where growing starts in that area.
Excellent. Thank you, Christine. Van, what do you got?
Yeah, Christine, I just wanted to dig down a little bit on, we were at a Tulsa 912 project meeting last month. You got a question that you answered. Somebody said, how long have you been a Republican? And you'd said 2.5 years. So at this time, 3 years ago, that would make you had been a Democrat. How active were you in the Democrat Party?
I wasn't active.
Okay.
I actually grew up in a house divided. My grandparents and my mom were Democrats. And this is one of my favorite questions. I'm so thankful you asked me that. Good. Actually.
Okay.
Because I am the poster child for the Republican Party for sure, because this is who I'm going after. Those that really don't understand our platform. It's those that have been raised up in a place that, they feel like, well, this is the way it is. If you look at my history as far as voting, it's all been Republican. I have a father that raised me since I was 7. And when my parents divorced, my mom remarried a master sergeant in the Army for over 23 years. And he's full on Republican and taught me a value system. But because he was so strong, I veered away more away from politics and went more into the church, where I've served in ministry over my life. And so, it's there, the ground has been worked in me, but I guess it's just the heart that I have to really know what the Republican Party stands for and this value and this structure, and that it really does benefit our nation. It's one of the only things that is affirming and standing forth for our nation right now. These policies, I'm excited to learn and grow this back. The GOP should be writing policies in and through our counties. And we have got, David, there's some amazing women and lawyers writing policies. And we've let it go. We've allowed to not write the policies where they were really supposed to come from. As a nation, we believe that the senators and the representatives should be writing the policies. They should be backing us. We should be working together with them. So, and come from, the political platform of the Republican Party. Wow. I mean, you can't stop us, because it's the only thing that parallels to the Constitution and the rights that were founded with our forefathers. So it's just something that, I was praying for years for the Republican Party. And then once I recognized the value and the structure of the platform, and it actually, David, came out of the church. I was serving in a church, in a denominational church. And as the denominational standards started changing for that church and what that church stood for, it was a transition that came and transpired from me supernaturally, from the Holy Spirit just connecting with me and showing me, when you set yourself in a place with authority over yourself and you align yourself with an LGBT agenda or intermarriage with the same sex, then you are allowing for an opening for your children and your grandchildren. And so we switched our church, and at around the same time, quickly, that in our political, and my husband's always been a Republican. So isn't that interesting? But thank you for asking that. That is the excitement and the game that I have, and am encouraged to share that. Thank you.
It's kind of standard procedure. We all start out liberals and then we grow up, and that
Winston Churchill had a saying about that, didn't he?
So,
My
so now I've got a thing about the 17th Amendment. What do you got anything on that? Because I got a harder question than that coming up.
Okay, I really like our senators. So
You like our senators? Yeah, I didn't know you're going to pick a fight with me. You like Langford? Can you give me one reason why you like Langford?
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
you don't have all night, but I mean, I dare you to pick one reason you like Langford. No, I got a tougher question than that. Here's the deal: the platform.
I'm just
Okay,
gonna say,
go ahead.
I'm not gonna answer it.
That's fine. So here's a tougher question than that. There's no reason to go on with something you're not going to answer. Here's the deal. On the Republican platform holds in it. Unfortunately, I don't have the page number. I couldn't draw it up before the show tonight. The Republican platform allows for abortion up to 22 weeks. I mean, I argued this with the wife of a libertarian, and she's like, Republicans don't allow. No, actually, in the platform of the Republican Party, they allow for abortion up to 22 weeks. So, I mean, are you for that, against that? You want to change that in the platform?
I would like to see that changed.
Is Langford for or against that? That's a joke. Christine Leeviraphan. Fantastic.
Tom will get you on things like that because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
where
okay.
stand. But
No, I'm not getting anybody. Look, David Van pointed out the other day, I'm just the host and I can be as petty as I want. So can you tell me, I mean, can you guys define what her policy directions are? I'm not getting a clear cut understanding of what direction she wants to take the party, except for she wants to get back to operating underneath the principles of what it's supposed. We're not following the rules. Is that correct? No, that's our last. So,
well, that was Jenny. I think what I've heard from Christine is that she wants to really push the platform. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
but fix that one part with the abortion in it.
Our rights for the platform were there. They have been changed over the years. And if there's gray matters that concur, and that's a gray matter for 22 weeks. Anything, we also stand on the value structure of God, and that's important. And if we stand on that, that's the most important. And so I just believe that some of these other policies will come in to fruition. But yes, I'm for 2A. I'm for, all the rights with the Constitution. And yeah.
Okay, and I'm not trying to be hard. There's a lot of truth.
Oh, you're funny. You're not hard.
Thank you. I mean, there's a lot of truth in comedy, and I feel my way there. Van's got something. Yes.
Yeah. So abortion obviously is a top priority with you.
Yes.
Are there organizations you've worked with or currently are working with in that area?
No, we go with my church and do some things, but I've served street ministry, but that's the parallel of it. Yeah.
Oh, plug your church
on different platforms. There's been some platforms that I've spoken on, but no, it's just my God-given right that I know that abortion is God's, and it's his decision, it's not.
Okay. And your local church, what's the name? Let's put a plug in for.
Well, now the point is where he's trying to say, where can we get in? If people want to support your campaign, where can they get in touch with you?
You can call me. You can call me 918-760-2864.
There it is. And you're also probably on Facebook. Tell them that.
Yes, I'm on Facebook, and you can get on my GOP candidate for state chairman page, and you can connect with me through Messenger, or you're welcome to email me. And
fantastic. Christine Leeviraphan. I always like to let the guests say it because I might have a lot of guests and I might mess it up or say it wrong. So I always like to plug let the guest plug their own site so that they know.
You said my name good.
I love your name. I don't want to bias the election or anything, but your name is fantastic. And I thought I already liked it. And then I was like, Leeviraphan. Like, no, Leeviraphan. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it more. It's a really nice twist. Lavera, what is the, I don't need your phone number. I already got it, but what is the name? What is the name
My
comes from what
inheritance.
culture? Yes.
Well, I married that name. So my
What is the-
husband's last name is Leeviraphan. He grew up in Tulsa and was born at St. John's Hospital, but he is Thai and Filipino.
How about that?
So half Thai, half Filipino. And doesn't speak either because his mom's Filipino and his dad's Thai. So.
Well, my son-in-law, I think, speaks, well, they're from Cacharda, right?
Cacharda?
Where is it? Philippines. Yeah, my son-in-law is fantastic. Yeah. Way to go, Leeviraphan.
Fun. Good job.
Man, that's tough. So, so you're, what am I missing, guys? Oldham, what do you got?
I want to get in on this.
Yeah.
Hey, my God, you're gonna have to stick your way in here. I'm dragging anything
Christine,
I can out.
You mentioned something that is before the Senate now. Were you speaking about the U.S. Senate and H.R. 1? Is that what you were referring to? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So with that, what are your views on H.R. 1? Is it constitutional or unconstitutional? Have you looked at it to have an opinion?
I'm against H.R. 1. I mean, it's trying to it's putting a film on things, and we want to keep our voice. We want to keep our vote. And they have, been just switching the words up and manipulating what it says. And it makes it sound like, they're for our voice and for our vote, but it's actually putting a mandate against elections and against us being able to go in and check Dominion machines and, hold the states accountable in our voting. So.
Now, have you considered whether that is actually a constitutional bill, that it would even be lawful in the first place?
Well, it's our rights to let this not pass. It's a vote. And so that right there, I mean, it's not in the Constitution, but yes, right. But it still needs to be voted on and maintained. I mean, our voice and our vote is there.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And then what would happen in the state if it should pass? Because in reality, just a quick aside, it is actually unconstitutional. They actually can't take the vote legally, because the Constitution, without amending the Constitution, they're not bothering to do that. So with an unconstitutional bill that may become supposed law, what should we do as the Oklahoma Republican Party in pushback against that? Because if it's illegal, then we don't have to abide by it. So what do you think we as the Oklahoma Republican Party should do?
Well, you would go and we would commission, our counties, and from my standpoint, we're trying to move on the legislative side of it.
If you were head of the state GOP,
yes,
what would you be trying to mobilize for all of us? Because reality, right? The state GOP head, the chair, is basically the chief organizer for the rest of us, right? So if we wanted something done, I mean, what do you think would be your position? What do you think the GOP should be doing to push back against something that's unconstitutional?
Right. Educating the precincts and then moving the precincts forward to, push the chair. There's so many things that are going through the GOP right now. There's 37 counties that have filed against Langford, and the paperwork is supposed to be going to Mike Hunter's desk. That's where we should be moving as a state, going through the process, the due process that's been given to us, checks and balance systems, to write policies and to ask for this move. The Constitution says the states have the rights as long, as it goes through the GOP and the governor approves it. So that's just a way that we support our governor. And as he moves forward on that situation. So it would be Mike Hunter, that it would go to his desk, and then it would go forward from there.
Okay.
Thank you, Oldham.
Thank you.
Van, what do you got? Anything? We got about 10 minutes.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for making yourself available to us. You've been part of Rogers County, the chairman for the last 2 years, right? You finished your term there, and I assume they've picked somebody else.
Yes.
What were the biggest difficulties that you saw running a county operation that you think should get some changing?
Well, our county is red. I mean, it was Democratic, but it has become completely red, and it's solid and very, very strong. Our senators came, our reps came to our meetings.
Let me redirect that if I could. I was talking about, I didn't say this, so it's my fault. The context of how the party GOP operates on a county level. And what were your biggest challenges? Any successes you want to talk to us about?
Just education for the committee members. At the county level, I would say it took us almost 8 months to get through the ethics commission to get our bank situated. And I went through some things just trying to get information, being a newbie, learning. And I believe that's part of the process, of learning, that learning curve. As a chair, I was accountable for my treasurer. Learning how to take contributions. David, you ask anything over $50, has to be on a card. So all of that, just the education from the county level for the committee members. But what I would love is to house those precincts. I think the reality that at precincts level, we're at 60 to 40% capacity. And we still, have about 40% in every county that need to be filled. I mean, we have precincts that don't even hold, there's no one in those seats. And, to be a good army and to be ready for battle and to fight, at half capacity, that's difficult. But the encouraging side of that and the exciting side of that from my end is just to say, hey, let's get them in there. The people running against me and with me, they're saying they want to need it out. They don't want rhinos in there. They don't want this. And I get that. Believe me. Oh my goodness. Do I get that? But you can have people come to the meeting and understand the platform and keep the meetings open and bring people in. And then those that are elected in these precinct chairs, it just gains a level of opportunity where we are able to multiply in our Republican Party. There's a way. I really truly believe that the Democratic system doesn't understand that there are 70 and 80-year-olds sitting in these positions in the government that aren't even elected. I mean, they're just staying steadfast because they've been appointed. The way that we move systematically through the electoral situation and system in the Republican Party is amazing. I mean, it's a great system, and we shouldn't have fear about it. We should encourage those to come on and sit and educate. And so that's where my hope is for at the county meetings.
Tom, she's got a little bit of breaking news. I'm going to just ask here. So you had a conflict with the state ethics commission. Now,
no, I didn't have a conflict.
Oh, okay. Well, it took 8 months to get your bank account. Was that?
It was just the information. I was elected the middle of February.
Okay.
And we ended up, our actual state convention was May that year. Gotcha. So that was 2016 when David was elected. It was a little bit later. And so after the state, I might have been the end of March. So after the state convention, when we had our first few meetings, we just didn't get everything situated for the fundraising. And then once the treasurer came up, I was just like, I don't want something transferred over to me. That's my responsibility if we don't have a background on it. So to clear it with the ethics commission, it took another few months to get background, to look at it. But no,
Okay.
everything was
Okay.
in order and lined out.
Thank you, because I
Absolutely.
thought this was somewhat of an indictment on the
No,
ethics
no, 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 no,
commission,
no, no,
and you're
no, no.
not. Okay, good.
Everything was good. Everything
Okay.
was good.
I got a
But
quick
it-
aside. We got about 5 minutes left. I got a quick
Okay.
aside for Oldham. Oldham, is the ethics commission kind of like a license or a registration for these poor candidates?
Yeah.
Hey, when I ran for mayor, I was scared
Uh,
to death that I was going to get
Yeah.
in trouble just by asking somebody to bring a sandwich to something.
Yeah.
You can't, it's ridiculous the kind of pressure you're under when you run a campaign. And again, Christine, I want to thank you for your passion. I love your passion and your willingness to get out there and try to fix this problem. We've got
Thank
a lot
you.
of problems, and I appreciate you and all your efforts. We've got just about 4 minutes left. What else do you want to tell them, Christine?
Well, just don't be fearful. My hope is to set, Zoom calls up and situate to where counties by counties can come together in these committees, and treasurers can ask treasurers. When you ask the ethics commission, you don't want to cause a problem for a treasurer that was there before if you're new and they, for whatever reason, don't transfer something over to you. Everything is there and it's applicable. Everything, is in black and white. There's also some amendments and some things that are coming up for our platform and the rules that, before the state convention, where the finances for the GOP will be public. And I'm so for that. I'm like encouraging,
yeah.
That to pass,
Yeah.
and that everything can be seen. So that anything that comes in goes out appropriately. And this is being a newbie. I'm not accountable to anybody, right? I don't have to pay back anybody. I don't have to scratch anybody's back. I mean, because they've done something. So this is one good asset with Christine Leeviraphan being GOP state chair.
Okay.
I'm not, it's black and white. It's what you get. And yes, Dave, I mean, that background of me going on to the ethics board was only because I wasn't going to sign on to something, because I'm a small business owner and I know you don't take over something until you know the history of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so, I guess, yeah. And I'm encouraged to build relationships and communicate. So
You gotta, if you're not cutting any ocean, you're not making any wake. So what about real quickly, just about 2 minutes left, the mask mandates? What do you think?
I'm completely against them. If you look at my Facebook page, you will see like the biggest, hardest, hardcore group of people that came up against me because I said no on the masks.
All right.
And because if I don't want to have abortion and I say it's God-given right, then why would I want to wear a mask either? So but
talk about connecting the dots. Nice job.
but I am respectful. When we have a mayor that's going to come and say you have to wear a mask, that's just not a wave that I want to breach. But we need to be respectful. I was hoping that Governor Stitt would come out a little bit stronger on those areas, and we need to recognize again, who holds the control of our cities and our communities, and we need to hold them accountable, our mayor and our communities, and come together. And that really starts at the precinct level as we come back out and reach back out into our cities.
Just about a minute, Oldham.
Yeah, quick question, because you said you want us, you think we should be respectful.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Isn't the request to put a mask on the height of disrespect?
Yes, but if you have somebody that you're going to walk into a store and it says that it's mandatory to wear that mask and you don't wear it in there, and I haven't, and then they come to you and face to face and they say, we are going to ask you to leave if you don't put a mask on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's your choice if you walk out or if you stay in there and you finish your shopping. And so I have put a mask on to finish my shopping and not cause, obviously, a problem.
We pick our battles. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, I really want to thank you, Christine Leeviraphan, for being here this evening. I hope I didn't get too silly for you. I always have a couple of experts here to balance out how ridiculously uneducated I am.
Thanks, guys.
So, again, I mostly appreciate your passion and your efforts to put yourself out there in the campaign.
Thank you.
Running for state GOP chair, Christine Leeviraphan. We're going to take her out. We're going to beam her out right now. There it goes. Thanks for being here. See you next time.
Thank you.
There she goes. All right. And as you know, we have in the waiting room right now, John Bennett coming up in the waiting room. We're going to reset, boys, and then bring everybody back in. So take yourselves out. The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of state in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people like you. This is 3D Politics. Featuring creator of Sooner Politics, David Vann. Joining us every week, founder and scholar at Constitutional Grounds, David Oldham. And of course, me, your comedian, political humorist, father of five, and former mayoral candidate Tommy McKay. Find me at verbalviking.com. Here we are all together again, and now, stepping up after all these other fine guests comes John Bennett. John Bennett, retired and decorated U.S. Marine combat veteran, Iraq and Afghanistan, 8 years in the Oklahoma House of Representatives, author of SB 1143 and HB 2177. Please welcome to the show, without further ado, John Bennett, ladies and gentlemen. We'll beam him in. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, John Bennett.
Hello.
There you go. There he is. John Bennett, we appreciate you joining us again. We've had you before on the show. We appreciate you joining us once again. I just gave you a little bit of a bio send-up. I'm sure you already know what you did, but we talked very quickly about SB 1143, HB 2177, the things that you're known for on those that passed, 8 years in the Oklahoma House of Representatives, and of course, a combat veteran, Iraq and Afghanistan. Welcome to the show once again, John Bennett.
Thank you guys for having me on.
You bet.
I logged in wrong. I was going back trying to log in. I thought, well, they went over a little bit.
No, it's what I found out is in the waiting room, it's just really bad. You can't hear anything. You just sit there with a smile on your face and wait. So we have ways of trying to work that. But what we've been doing tonight is moving through the people who are running for state GOP chair. What are their motivations for running? What are their policy directions? Solutions. We're all about, can you give us specific solutions? I always bring up the 17th Amendment. I probably brought that up last time you were here because it's like a thing I do. But thanks for joining us. Tell us about your motivation for running. Why are you running for state GOP chair?
Well, first, I spent 8 years in the House. I ran. I felt a calling to run, to do something to make an impact. I spent 8 years in the House and decided to term limit myself out. I was done with politics at that time. I did my part, done the best that I could. I found someone to replace me. That was a good constitutional Christian patriot, which is in there today. So we were able to keep the seat by the Republican Party. But I was done with it. And I did my part. I had moved on to other things, and people kept calling me ever since I had left the House and like, hey, do you want to run for state party chair? And I said, no, I don't. I don't have any desire to do anything like that. And they called several people from all across different spectrums of the Republican Party. And I kept on, no. Even all the way up until when all the things happened to Trump, whenever they threw him under the bus and they stole the election from President Trump, they were continuing to call. And I thought about it, prayed about it, and I just felt, you know what? There's a time and place for everything. And now is the time for a fighter, someone that's going to stand up, not just kick the can down the road, but pick the can up and smash it. So I was perfectly fit for that. And because in my mind, after what they did to the president of the United States, that wasn't just to do it to him. That was a message to the American people. That was a direct attack on our constitutional republic. And in my mind, we're at the edge of the cliff. And if we don't stand and fight now and put freedom on the offensive where it belongs, we're going to be pushed off the cliff, and we're going to lose our constitutional republic. And I'm not going to let that happen. If it happens, it'll be over them running over me. But I'm going to stand and fight. Several folks were calling me after that had happened, and I was seriously considering it. And finally, I did what I thought I needed to do. I thought it was the right thing to do. All
right. So now you've decided to run. You're running, and if you're in, what are your main policy directions? What do you want to do to make it, to go in the direction that they're either not going, or harder and faster in the direction they are?
Well, that's I guess I could give you a long answer to that short question, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. There's a lot of things swimming through my mind, but we have a structure in the Republican Party now, which by itself is not bad. The problem is people aren't being held accountable to the party platform. We're not communicating across the spectrum. So the state party chairman is not building the bridge between all the county chairmen. The precinct chairman really don't even know what their jobs are in most counties. Some they do, but there's no real standard operating procedure across the board. There's no communication. We don't have a real united party. We're all not going to agree. That's pretty obvious in the Republican Party. We're all a bunch of independent thinking people.
Right.
We've got to have that structure. And I think I have a unique experience to bring that structure in, fine tune that, and get us all hopefully going in the same direction. Because we're a force to be reckoned with if we could just get it all together. We're all heading in the same direction anyway. We just got different ideas of how to get there. But I think I have the unique experience to be able to do that. I mean, I've been in charge of hundreds of Marines, and getting all of them to go in one direction is not an easy task either. But that structure and that leadership, if you do it right, you can get them going in that direction.
So let me ask you this, John. I mean, I understand, and it's impressive, I got to say, being able to lead Marines. That's a thing. And once the Marines are there, they're there to be led. Do you think that part of the state GOP chair's job is to recruit? I mean, it's a different job to recruit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The state GOP chair should be highly involved in that. Now, if you're talking about state level wide offices, so state rep, state senator, even your county wide offices, the state party chairman should be offering resources and leadership to help them at the local level do what they need to do, because those are the ones that are on the ground level, and they know if Joe and Jim are in the Republican race, if Jim just switched to Republican, but he's really a Democrat, and that's the way he believes, but he switched to get elected. Because that's actually happened in our district. We had two sheriffs. One was a Republican. He'd been a Republican. We knew him personally and what he believed. And then we had a Democrat that was the current sheriff, switched to Republican to get elected. And we, as a county party, we knew him, and we came out in the primary and told the voters, we told the Republicans, he is not our candidate. He does not abide or uphold Republican Party principles. He was the one of the main Democrat leaders in the Democrat Party, and switched and then bragged about it. He was going to get elected by switching to Republican, and we shut him down. But the state party chairman should be able to back those counties up, back those precincts up, and help them, give them resources, and provide that leadership, but let them decide what they need to do. Now, sometimes you do need to nudge them a little bit and say, well, you know, you could do this or you could do that, and here are your options. Do you need any help, or do you need any clarification through the rules process, or anything else? And that's the type of leadership I want to give to them.
That makes sense. Just leading the down, I don't want to come down ballot, but I mean, you're leading those people with the rules, because that's where it all gets parliamentarian. Van, Oldham, anything you got?
Oldham?
Well, hi again, John.
Hey, David.
We've talked at length in the past, and we've asked Jenny and Christine so far tonight. What are your thoughts about what you're going to do differently than what has been done in the past in trying to do some of these things that you're talking about, but going to the heart of your running to fight for these constitutional violations that are happening all too often? What are we going to see from a John Bennett administration?
You're going to see someone that's got bold leadership that doesn't just say it during campaigning time, but actually stands on that and stands on our platform, stands on our Constitution, and actually is a voice for the county parties, the precincts, and help and fight for them as well as our party as a whole. The problem is, and we hear all the time, we need more quantity inside the Republican Party. I don't believe that's something we should focus on. I believe we should focus on quality and being who we say we are and what we say we stand on and believe in. And if we do that, then we're going to have people come to the party. I mean, we're seeing it now. More and more people are coming to the party because we showed what we believed in. We stood on those principles, and more people are coming. The problem is when we have, well, I'm just going to say it. Y'all may disagree with me, but when we have a U.S. senators, plural, throw our president under the bus and make a decision based off of emotion instead of off of principle and do what they say they were going to do, we have people that get fed up with the Republican Party and leave. That's why we see an increase in the registered independents. Those folks want to be with the Republican Party, but they feel betrayed and they don't feel the trust anymore because we say one thing, but we do another. But with good leadership and someone leading the way, people will follow that. So whatever it takes, we're going to get it done, whether it's using a platform as a voice, whether it's twisting arms and holding others accountable and making sure they abide by that platform and by the Constitution, or they get unelected. And I will help get that done through the counties and through the precincts.
Van, you got something?
Hey, John, now you've been a legislator and you've been very much part of the grassroots movement. How can those relationships work better where the party regulars and the legislature are really working in one step and in better outcomes?
Yeah, that's a great question, David. I guess you could say I have insider information. I know how they do things at the Capitol. I know for a fact that they go behind closed doors, say one thing, and come out in front of a camera and say something completely different. I know all the ins and outs. I know the tricks they pull, so I can hold them accountable. And they know that they can't blow smoke up my skirt because I've been there and I've witnessed it and I've been around it for quite some time. Then on the flip side of that, they also know that I'm a pretty straightforward person. I'm not going to attack them unnecessarily. I'm not going to cause chaos or trouble in their campaigns or with who they are or throw them under a bus unless they deserve it. And they know that. So based off of that, a lot of them will be more than happy to sit down with me behind closed doors so we can work that out and we make sure they do the right things. And I'll be completely transparent with them and tell them, listen, your constituents aren't happy. You campaigned on this. You were elected to do this. You're not doing this. You need to change your ways. We're watching you. If you don't, you're going to have to deal with consequences.
John, I got to say, to be fully transparent, I think James Langford would look better in a skirt, but I think you fit the uniform better. So you wear a man's uniform, but Langford in a skirt, I can see that. So tell us about the I think we talked about this last time. Mask mandate? Yes? No? Mask mandate? You're for freedom or masks? Don't even ask. Okay. You guys are listening to the fine state GOP chair candidate, John Bennett, joining us here on 3D Politics every Monday night, once again with David Vann from SoonerPolitics.org and David Oldham from ConstitutionalGrounds.com. So, John Bennett, let me ask, oh yeah, and my name's Tommy McKay, VerbalViking.com. John Bennett, let me ask you this. We talked a lot about tonight with other candidates and before on our show about grooming our, kind of like we groom the voter rolls of dead people. We've got rhinos in the party. I ran against G.T. Bynum in 2016, and he ganged up on me with his uncle, the two millionaires. Two millionaires ganged up on little old me to push me out. And I couldn't even define myself as a Republican because we have these purple nonpartisan elections in Tulsa. It's absolutely ridiculous. How can a guy like me even differentiate myself from millionaire G.T. Bynum when we're nonpartisan? How does the GOP get rhinos like G.T. Bynum out of it?
We got to hold them accountable, especially at the precinct and county level. And I would even submit this to you. There is no such thing as a nonpartisan race. The Democrats, they scream that all the time, but then they go back and they get their own candidates. They support their own candidates. They know what they believe in. And they've been kicking our bottoms at the school board level, at the city council level, and at the mayor level. And that even the county commissioners, even though the county commissioners, we know pretty much where they stand when they file, but those other ones are supposed to be nonpartisan races. Republicans need to quit soft-handing everything. Get in there.
You're so polite. You're going to do great. You're very polite.
We need to quit. I mean, the time for just
it's
politics as usual is done. We need to get in there and say, this is what we stand on. You are not a Republican. You don't believe in these things. Oh, well, it's nonpartisan. Don't care, because you will take your beliefs into however you govern. And we're not going to have that. You can call it partisan or not. We're not voting for you. We're voting for this guy. He's a Republican, and he believes in this, or she believes in this, and we're going to support him. And that's got to be done, though, at the precinct and county levels. And they got to be more engaged and get in there and get in a fight.
Right. Gentlemen, what do you got? Anything?
Could I? Okay. I really haven't got into fundraising much tonight, but I think I should. And I regret not asking this to our previous candidates. John, you've run for the legislature, 4 times. It usually takes a 5-figure budget to really run, especially in a very tough contested race. How's fundraising work for you? Do you like it?
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure anyone has. It's real easy for someone to say, "Hey, can you support me? Can you give me some money out of this?" However, it's kind of going back to what Tom said a while ago. When people with that kind of money come against you, as long as you have a grassroots campaign, and as long as you have people that support you and believe in you, you can overcome that money. However, the state party chairman is a little bit different. One of my main priorities, and I've told many people this, is to raise money. As a matter of fact, I've already set up a committee. These people have volunteered because all through the many counties I've been to, they've all asked about money and fundraising. They want transparency. They want to know if we're going to raise money or not. And I've committed to do all of those things. It's so much so that I've set up a committee already. I've got 6 individuals on it. All of them have historically raised lots of money in different venues. And we're ready to pull the trigger. So after the election, we're going to get it done. And we're going to try to raise more money than has ever been raised for the Republican Party in the state of Oklahoma. I'm beside myself that we weren't able to raise millions whenever Trump was on the ticket. I mean, I'm shocked that we didn't raise that much. But now I think people see what's going on. They see that we are the party of principle, and we are standing on what we say we're going to and hold people accountable. they're going to come in and they're going to want to support that movement. We're going to raise a lot of money, and then we're going to take that money. We're going to use it for leverage. We're going to use it for influence, and we're going to make sure we've got the right people in office. And we're going to take this republic back, and we're going to start in Oklahoma, and then we're going to work with other states like Texas and Kansas and Arkansas, South Carolina, which, by the way, I talked to Lynn Wood the other day. He's running for state party chairman in South Carolina. We're going to come together, and we're going to connect, and we're going to stop this federal government overreach. But we're going to get there, and we're going to have this leverage from the money. We're going to raise lots of money.
I love the big oversight. Let me, if I could, focus towards the underside, the back where I am, where I run for mayor, and I'm literally scared to death. Back to this ethics thing. So, and you talk about raising money. When I wanted to raise money, I was afraid to get the money because I was afraid of the ethics commission. My God, I'm just a guy with 5 kids, man. And the mayor of Tulsa lied to me on the air of KFAQ. I'm like, I'm not going to stand for that. And yet I'm afraid to take in the money. Then when I became a public figure in 2016, I promoted myself from caller to KFAQ to mayoral candidate. Now, I had people, because I'm a freedom candidate, I had libertarian people calling me, and I said, hey, I'll help you. I'm a sound. I run live sound for bands and celebrations and stuff. I can put up your microphones and stuff, and PA. And the guy was scared to use me because he thought a guy that was running a libertarian candidate. I said, I will help you. He was afraid to use me because of the ethics commission. How is the state GOP chair going to teach the down ballot, the little guy like me, how to not be afraid of the ethics commission when I'm trying to get $250 off of a GoFundMe? I'm scared shitless. I'm sorry to say it. There it is. Literally. I was afraid. Okay.
Yeah, I feel your pain, Tom. I was the same way when I ran the first time. I had no support, including from the state party. No support. As a matter of fact, after I got elected the first time, I beat an 8-year Democrat incumbent. I was at the Republican caucus, and they were having people stand up and introduce themselves, those who won their election. And I was the last one to stand up. And when I told them who I beat and where I was from, they were shocked, one, that I was even there, and then shocked that I beat the guy that I beat. So I had no help either, Tom. And so I can understand where you're coming from. I was more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs with the ethics reports, because I try to read the rules. I'm like, okay, can I do this? Can I not do that? Where's the gray area? Where's not the gray area? But fortunately for me, I run into a lady. And there's many, many volunteers out there. All they need to do is ask for them and search for them. She worked at a bank, and I asked at the Republican meeting, there was only 4 of us. I said, does anyone in here have a treasurer background or financial background? And she said, well, I work at the bank. I said, would you mind working with me on the ethics reports, and could you help me? She says, well, let me read what we're supposed to do. And within a couple of days, she said, yes, I'll help you. And she did all my ethics filings because she understood.
So if you win a state GOP chair, how can you employ, recruit, or otherwise gain those people that you just talked about, those types of people, to help other candidates, not just you?
Well, the county parties and the precincts, they're going to have to find those folks, which I would be more than happy to advise him. As a matter of fact, I'm working on standard operating procedures now and getting a lot of this information from other county parties that have systems that are working and set up.
Nice.
So they'll have a basic standard operating procedure on what to do as the county chairman, what to do as a precinct chairman, how to file ethics reports, how to do all of these things as a county chair and a precinct chair, to send down to them, and then they can take it and massage it, because it's not a one size fits all, but it gives them the basic foundation, and then they can massage it to their particular situation on the ground. And within that, it talks about the ethics for candidates and for those county chairmen, and how they can recruit locally. And if they can't, then they can ask around to surrounding counties. And those are some of the things that good leaders do, and they're supposed to help out. But the final call would be made at the ground level with these folks.
Yeah, that's excellent. Because I got to tell you that, I'm kind of a casualty of attempting to run from literally from the grassroots, like one blade. And it's hard to do. It's really it's a level of conviction. So we have got about 5 or 6 minutes here. Gentlemen, Davids, have you got anything you want to press into, or you want me to move to other topics?
Yeah, no, I want to revisit some things that we were discussing with Jenny and Christine.
Good.
And it comes down to, how things have been handled by chairmen in the past. Pam Pollard a few years ago, the teachers strike, and she ended up saying, "Oh, we got to support the teachers and everything like that." A lot of people want to just say, "Hey, we got to support the mask mandates," or allow them and just go along.
In other words, raise taxes, right?
So the question is, what would a John Bennett publicity answer be? Or how would you deal with it? Or how would you help the Republican Party deal with it when the cameras come on and you're stuck in front of them? What would your answer be? Say to the teacher strike several years ago. How should we deal with that?
He's asking about school funding and school control.
It was just in general. I mean, she just said go along, pick apart. What would it look like?
Well, I'll tell you how I handled it when I was in the legislature. I did all my research. I found out how much money they were getting, who was responsible for it, where it went to, and how that broke down from federal, state, and local, how much money they were actually getting versus how much was being reported, and then how that averaged around with all the other states. And apples to apples and oranges to oranges, not just, well, Texas gives their teachers or has $10,000 a year per pupil funding, and Oklahoma only has $5,000. Okay, why is that? Why is there a disparity? And there was reasons behind that. Same with the pay raises. They said, well, Oklahoma is the lowest in the region, which was an absolute lie. I did the research. Arkansas paid lower base pay, so did Texas, and so did the other surrounding states. They were making more money on average because the local school boards, which are responsible for their raises, were the ones giving them raises. And they didn't, a lot of the teachers didn't even know that the state doesn't give raises. The state, we set the bare minimum.
Yep.
So once I figured all that stuff out, I went out and started educating. I went to my county party first, started educating them. I started educating other activists and telling them, hey, here's the real picture. Here's what's going on. Matter of fact, I even went and paid to have 2 big boards made that had it broke down, all the funding, where it came from, where it went to, and compared it to the other states, and took those around, carried them in my car, and had them in my office whenever people come in and ask me about it. Say,
my card. Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with the teachers getting a raise. My mother, sister, I had many family members that were
John, you're so right. I have argued on Facebook for all during that strike. And people are like, yeah, the legislature. No. The legislature has done nothing in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma legislature has done nothing but protect minimum wages, essentially, for teachers. And the districts rob the teachers. Districts pay teachers or not. Okay, the legislature does nothing but say you can't pay a teacher less than this amount. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. And they were in my office because, well, the teacher pay raise already passed. They were there a week later for the strikes. And I had a bunch in my office, and they were telling me, or they asked me, they were very hostile. They said, why aren't you going to vote for the tax increases? Because I made it very obvious I was not voting for a tax increase. And there was 40 of them in my office with the superintendent. Yep. And they're saying, we demand you vote for these tax increases. I said, I'm not doing it. And one of them actually looked at me and said, we don't care if you raise taxes on everyone else. We want more money. I said, I'm not doing it because I represent more than just you. And the facts don't support what you're wanting. And called the superintendent out. I said, I won't say his name, Mr. Superintendent, I said, why don't you tell them the truth? Where do they get their raises? And all the teachers were dumbfounded. And so I told it for him. And then I said, how many of you in here have ever been put in for a raise by the superintendent? Not one raised their hand.
Oh,
said, you need to talk to him, not me.
So the other point that I've made in my discussions about teachers, as they pretend that, as I argue about teachers not being properly paid, they say blah, 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 pretending that teachers exist in what is a free market. They are state workers. They are doing a civil service job. They are not operating in the free market where somebody gets paid according to something. We have X amount of dollars, and you've agreed to be a teacher to pay the children with this amount of money. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the amazing Verbal Viking. Tommy McKay, your host here on 3D Politics every Monday night for 2 years now, with the mostly amazing John Bennett running for state GOP chair. And listen, John, I can hear that music coming up. Have you got, can you stick around? Have you got to go? Can you stick around? Gentlemen, we are at the break, so let's reset. We're at the half hour. We're going to reset. You're listening once again to David Vann from SoonerPolitics.org and David Oldham, founder and scholar at ConstitutionalGrounds.com. Tommy McKay, your fine host here, your Verbal Viking, plundering all conversation. And we are pleased to have the candidate for state GOP chair, John Bennett. And we're going to pause for 10 seconds to allow station identification. You're listening to Herder. This was all planned, John. Trust me. Boom, there it is. Here we go. The American Constitutional Republic, affairs of state in Oklahoma, the beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people just like mostly me. I just rushed that thing to get back to our guest. So here we go. John Bennett, where did we leave off? Because I got a question about school funding. You think $2.5 billion every 300 days is enough? I was talking about civil servants. The teachers are civil servants, but yet they argue as though they operate from a free market capitalist position. Teachers in Texas make. Well, Texas has an entirely different constitution that brings in the money totally differently, that pays people at the front end or the back end totally differently. And so there's no reason to compare Oklahoma to Texas when we're paying teachers, because we're not operating in a free market. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Thank you.
But they are feeling a little bit of heat now because, and I'm 100% parent choice. I've got, my kids have been in public school. My 3 oldest graduated public school. My 2 youngest have been in public school, private Christian school, and now they're in a charter school. And we as parents, we should have full control over where our children go to school. The government should have no monopoly on that. They shouldn't be forced to go to a government school. It's my choice. They're my children, and I know what the best learning environment is for them. And to be honest, right now, after going to all of those for my children, the charter school is the best program for them, and they are excelling at it. So it's definitely should be parent choice.
Gentlemen, I've been monopolizing the conversation.
You kind of took it down a different road than the state chair. You like talking about education funding.
I come from an education family, and that's an issue for me.
Well, we do need to kind of wrap things up. We haven't asked John where we can find him, where people can find him, because we know how to get a hold of you. But where can the folks find you before Saturday's meeting?
I'm out on Facebook. Even though I'm convinced the communists and the devil invented Facebook, we can use it for good. So I'm out on Facebook, Bennett for Chairman, Bennett for Chairman, FOR, for Chairman. I'm out on Facebook. You can also, my email and my phone number is also out on Facebook. And I'm an open book, so call me. As a matter of fact, I spent most of the day returning calls today, and I've got about 70 more to return. Before
I don't think you'll get those done tonight, will you?
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
No, but you feel a certain. I mean, people like you who run for office, you feel somehow convicted to call each one of them back and give them an answer, don't you? I mean,
Yes.
it's like
I do, because to me, it's a service. I mean, our founding fathers did the same. They sacrificed so much more than we have to sacrifice today, but it's coming back to that, and I think I love history, and I don't know if y'all probably know this, but do y'all know which president served as president, and then after he served his time as a president, went back into the United States Congress?
oh wow. Oldham?
John Quincy
Yeah, I
Adams.
can't remember which one it is.
It was John Quincy
It was
Adams.
John Quincy Adams, which in
Yes,
my view,
that's
I
right.
think he was probably one of the most intelligent presidents we've ever had. However,
Is that number 3?
six. He was the
6.
sixth president. And he went back into the United States Congress. Do you know why?
So he can impeach Jackson, right?
No, he did want to, but he wanted to go back into the Congress so he could do away with slavery.
Yeah.
And he died on the House floor. You know who carried him out?
What?
He died on the House floor. Actually,
No.
had a brain hemorrhage on the House floor, passed out. He died 2 days later in the Speaker's office.
Wow.
But do you know who carried him out? Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my goodness. How
And
about
he was
This is the
an
kind of
understudy
history.
of Abraham Lincoln.
So, when I was a kid growing up, they showed me a video of FDR throwing eggs and milk on the ground. They never taught me any of the great stuff,
Yeah.
No.
Well, I want to give one other plug here for all of them. There is one more forum, and it is in person tomorrow. Well, some of us are there at the Oklahoma City 912 project.
And this is
right?
for all the state GOP chair candidates.
And vice chair.
And now, Van, go ahead and plug yourself. That's true. Ladies and gentlemen, David Van's been so polite. He is running for state GOP vice chair.
Yeah.
And like a polite diplomat, he's just acted like nothing mattered to him.
I really wanted to say in bachelor number 3, what would you say?
If I were a popsicle, no.
And let's also mention that we're talking about all of this because the Oklahoma State Convention is this weekend.
Yes.
Where?
Oklahoma City. Give the details, guys.
Somebody.
For the low price of $45, you can attend as well if you were made a delegate by your county convention.
So
Friday night is the gala with
Yeah.
Friday night's the gala, and then Saturday's the convention at the Oklahoma City Convention Center.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so where can they find out the information to get there?
OKGOP.com.
Yeah.
All the information should be out there on the website.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep. And you can pre-register. All the links are right there. You can do that, and they can even take credit cards. So. Okay.
So, John Bennett, I continue to be impressed with your answers, and your service, of course, is just, I'm not worthy that routine. And so, any parting shots before we beam you out of here and then talk about everybody later?
Yeah, I will leave you and all your listeners with this thought. And this is not just some kind of campaign slogan. I really believe our republic is in danger. And if we don't stand and fight for it now, we won't have any freedoms to fight for tomorrow. We've got to stand and fight for this republic.
Yep.
We've got to lock arms at the gates of freedom, and we've got to put freedom back on the offensive where it belongs.
Beautiful, baby. John Bennett running for state GOP chair. We're going to beam you out. You ready?
Ready.
There you go. All right, we're beaming him out. There he goes, John Bennett, running for state GOP. Thank you very much for being here, John. Appreciate you very much. You bet. Wow, we got the production. Are we killing it? We're beaming them in. We're beaming them out.
That's right.
Hey, what a show, guys, huh?
Yeah.
What an incredible show.
Yeah.
Anybody hate it? Oldham?
No.
It wasn't constitutional. I know that.
Well, trust me, there's stuff in the works in the wings that's not being seen. That
I just know
So-
the first answer is, well, that's not constitutional. There you go.
Well,
and I'm
you
like,
know.
it was rigged. My answer is always, it's rigged. Someone
and
rigged
this-
it.
But this is the hope, is that through our show and through the work that Lori and I are doing over at Constitutional Grounds and other things like this, that people are starting to get a handle on what it means to be constitutional, and we can get more people
Mhm.
like that into office, whether it be party office or in full,
Yeah.
legal office. And and that's where it's all comes. Sometimes we do have to talk politics.
Yeah.
Van, what do you think?
Yeah, I got a few surprises tonight from, several of them. And it's interesting. My concerns are about the finances. I love getting grassroots candidates, but can they raise money? And historically, that's kind of been the Achilles heel.
But
And
I thought I made the point. The reason that's the Achilles heel is because they're scared shitless of raising money. There's literally like, I've got like a kid and $300. What am I supposed to do? Get the ethics commission to pound me because I had some guy come in and donate a catering service?
Yeah.
When I ran for mayor, I'm scared to death. I had a libertarian candidate call me and say, hey, da-da-da. And I said, man, I'd love to help you. And he says, da-da-da, ethics. I was like, look, I'm not going to, I acted like it was no big deal, and he ran like hell because he was scared. That's the problem right there.
And
They're afraid of the regulation. That's why I asked Oldham, isn't the Ethics Commission just like a license? It's the same damn thing.
Well, it is on the one hand, but it is because what they are doing is they're overstepping their bounds. There is no need to have make public the amounts of all of these donations. Absolutely none. The thing is, in a free society, in a constitutional society, dark money means nothing. Dark money. Okay? And the thing is,
I use light brown money, but go ahead.
Well,
but the thing is that this dark money means nothing because the what's in place are all the teeth and things necessary to keep bribery and kickbacks and all of the extortion and everything, to keep it out of politics. And if we've got that going on, if we've got government doing what it's supposed to do, then you know what? We don't need to worry about who's paying for what.
Yeah.
All right, Van.
I would want to say, there's 6 of us who have put our names out there for these 2 party offices. And I've had great experiences with all the other 5. And I want to commend each one of them for a positive race. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't have fired up supporters who are backing us that were sniping at the opponents, but,
Right.
we'll talk on the road after we've given our speeches. Charles Ortega and I spent a lot of time. I've talked quite a bit with Shane Jemison,
Why couldn't we get Ortega on the show tonight? What happened?
Well, I don't, I think he gave me his number at what point. Somehow I didn't put it in my phone.
I mean, Wednesday I sent it to where I thought it was supposed to go, and then I resent. You sent me today, but I mean, we're all about trying to get.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's what I get, and I finally got it. This just a few days ago was the full delegate list updated for the 31st. And guess who didn't put their phone number on it as a delegate? Charles Ortega. Charles, bummer you didn't have your phone number. I would have reached out to you personally on this. But no, Charles been a fine guy to work with. But you know what? Abraham Lincoln, I think, said it. Anybody can handle some adversity. You want to test a man's character, give him power. We'll find out whoever gets elected. After they get elected and have power and authority, that's when you start finding out what you really got.
So here's one of the things I love is that there are so many people vying for seats, and that so many more people, including myself, know about these seats that are being vied for. What I'm saying is, I used to be one of the uninformed electorate, and then Dewey Bartlett Jr. pissed me off, and then I became informed. So now I know these people: Jenni White, Christine Leeviraphan, and John Bennett, and then you guys. Okay, so it's like the people are becoming, me included, the people are becoming more informed, and that's why you have multiple people running for state GOP chair. And now I wonder, and I'm trying to open a can of worms, but there are some people that they want everybody to just serve McDonald's hamburgers. They don't want a lot of people serving up burgers. Okay. And so what I'm saying is, the fact that we see multiple people running is a good sign. It means that the community is now becoming the informed electorate, just like I did.
Yeah.
And so I think multiple people running is good. I like each of the candidates we had on tonight for different reasons.
Yeah.
Really, Jenni White, Christine Leeviraphan, and John Bennett. Now, you know, I'm saying all these people have great things, and I'm going to ask you guys to fill us in as we finish off tonight, to find the common thread in candidates. But before I do, let's not forget, you're listening to an amazing event, 3D Politics, every Monday night for more than 2 years with the hordes David Van and David Oldham. David Van from Sooner Picks, constitutionalgrounds.com. And me, your Verbal Viking from verbalviking.com. So every week we bring you all the best stuff. I bring these two experts on to inform me. Tonight we had three exciting candidates for state GOP chair. Can you guys find some thread that puts it all together? That I've got mine. Where do you think they're all combining? Either one of you guys.
Well, I can say, having gotten to know each and every one of the candidates, much less so Charles, is everybody cares about the Oklahoma GOP. The real question is, how are they going to go about doing what they want to do? I don't think that there's a question that people don't care. The thing is for people to decide on Saturday is which one agrees with the way you think you want to get things done and is going to do what you want to do. And then no matter which one ultimately wins, we all need to get together and fix the things that we think we got to fix, but work together. Ultimately, everybody's got to work together.
Yeah, and
I
I
love
love
it.
that line. You know, and that's where the contest starts for those of us who are delegates and those of us who have a Republican voter registration. Is how soon can you put things back together so the party's speaking with one voice and feels included in the party?
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah, man, that's some really good stuff. I think included in the party is part of the primary process. It's where I have my issues, and that is that I didn't just jump into politics thinking I would be mayor in a day. I had great ideas for the Tulsa community, and I was robbed of presenting them because you don't have the name recognition to win. I'm not trying to win yet. I'm trying to get my ideas in front of the public. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, here we are, 3D Politics. Let me set us up. We've had an exciting show tonight. 3 out of 4 of the state GOP chair candidates. I want to thank, of course, Jenni White, Christine Leeviraphan, and John Bennett for showing up this evening, sharing their thoughts about the state GOP chair position and the direction of the Oklahoma GOP. And once again, thank you, David Van, creator of SoonerPolitics.org, and of course, David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com. I love you guys for being here, sharing your wisdom each time. We're going to beam you guys out. Here it goes. We're going to send David Oldham out.
Good night, everybody.
Here he goes, David Oldham. Thanks for being here. And of course, David Van, creator of Sooner Politics. There he goes. Oh, you know what? I can't make you go. I have to do that, and then I have to remove you. And there you went. And now here I go.